Mars. Simonetta Badioli and I have been traveling to planet Mars for some years, thanks to the power of literary imagination. And I want to share my screen with you to show you our project for this year. Okay, a Mars Literary Project 2024. Our voyage started at the 2021 Mars Society Convention with the presentation of Unveiling a Parallel, and it went on through the following years with Journey to the Planet Mars and The Man from Mars. These novels were respectively from 1893, 1905, and 1891. So they have really little to do with actual Mars colonization. And that's why they are so important and interesting. The aim of our voyages of discovery is to detect the best novels written in the period ranging from the last quarter of the 19th century to the first decade of the 20th century. So it was much time ago, but it was in the field of utopia and human rights, with a particular focus on gender equality. So that's why we want to focus on this literary production. This year, we have chosen two works where we can find highly advanced societies and egalitarian governments. Our title is A Harmonious Whole on Planet Mars, with a question mark. And the two books are Politics and Life in Mars, A Story of a Neighboring Planet, and the other is MIRRIKH, or A Woman from Mars. We do believe that this extraordinary literary production has still the power to enlighten our way and suggest the best values to keep with us in our future, plausible future on Mars. Politics and Life in Mars, A Story of a Neighboring Planet, was published anonymously in 1883 by Sampson Low, Edward Marston, Samuel Warren Searle, and William John Rivington at their Fleet Street headquarters based in London. Sometimes, quite curiously, these publishers are reported wrongly as the authors, but they are not. They are simply a group of men who founded a little publishing house in London. It was printed by William Close and Sons Limited. So all this information is quite clear, but the author is missing. It appears it was never published in the United States, maybe on the account that it was not a work of fiction. This is not a novel. But about 1844, Sampson Low made the acquaintance of Fletcher Harper of New York and became his literary agent and correspondent, and one of the chief American booksellers in London. He shortly became an international publisher with business connections in the United States and Australia. The essay was digitalized by the Ohio University Press in 2014, and it is open access now, so you can read this book for free. The book is considered either a utopia or a satire, and its author might be a certain Edgar Ludern Welch, an American writer born in 1856 and dead in 1926. So he should have been 27 years old at the time. But there are no proofs whatever. On page 33, there is a reference to Abraham Lincoln, but here and there, the narrator says, "we in England," and even makes a quotation from Scottish philosopher Thomas Carlyle. Quote, "This country is inhabited by 30 millions of people, mostly fools." That was a quotation by Carlyle. Personally, I have the feeling that the book, or at least some parts of it, were written actually by a highly cultivated woman, probably English, maybe American. The story is told by a narrator who never reveals either his or her identity or how he or she came to know about Mars. From the very beginning, we learn that the Martians live in the water, take a great care of their health, are highly educated and very polite. Their world is full of natural variety, beautified by art and etherealized by education. Among other interesting things, the book contains a chapter fully dedicated to women's rights. It is chapter 9, entitled Women's Rights in Mars. These pages focus on the pivotal role education plays on Earth in making the woman submissive and devoted to men in general, and husbands in particular. This is true both in barbarous countries where woman does the heaviest of the work, gets the poorest food, and is liable to heavy punishment, and in England's lower classes, where, quote, "it is woman to whom all the drudgery of home is relegated. It is to her self-denial that her husband must owe his dinner. Hers is the wretchedness produced by drink. Hers the kick from the hobnailed boot. A drunken, dissolute man will have the excuse found for him. He is a good fellow at heart, or weak, or easily led, or not so bad as he seems. But to an abandoned woman, no pity is shown. Hers is a hopeless case. When a woman is bad, she is very bad, say the sages." Even in the upper classes, the inferiority of woman is stoutly maintained a theory. The man who pictures himself as kneeling at her feet would scorn the notion of giving her a vote. The gallant who sues for her hand and loudly proclaims his inferiority to her would resist to the last a proposal to place her in Parliament. In the utopian Martian society, on the contrary, by a series of legislative enactments, she, that is the woman, is placed upon an entirely equal footing with men. Her education is as broad, her union as free as is any partnership between man and man. As far as marriage is concerned, no couple shall irrevocably agree to a lifelong union, but shall state at the time of marriage how frequently, that is to say, in periods not exceeding 10 and not less than 3 years, it shall be open to the contracting parties, under certain defined conditions, to reconsider their position, leaving the disposal of the children under certain restrictions to decide which desires a continuance and not a severance of the union. In other words, it is open for people who cannot live happily together and whose married life has been a curse rather than a blessing, to part amicably when the period agreed upon comes round. Obviously, this system can work because girls and boys enjoy the same schooling and working opportunities, and therefore the same social status. On Mars, every university, college, technical school, art academy, government studio, legal hall, school of anatomy or hospital is open to her, that is the woman, on the same terms as to boys. It may appear strange for a modern reader that women on Mars lose their electoral rights for the duration of their married life, because they can vote, but when they are married, they do not have this right. That is the only quite strange thing. But we must think that women gained the right to vote only in 1920 in the United States and in 1928 in the UK. That is quite a long time after the publishing of this book. Also, many women were actually suspicious of universal suffrage, like American writer Anne Catherine Green, who invented the first emancipated female detectives of literature, but spoke out against voting for women, fearing it could be another trap of patriarchies. In the text under examination, there is another beautiful page that contains all the stereotypes we have heard so many times on Earth, unfortunately, even today. They are expressed by the voices of few conservative Martians. There are conservatives even on Mars. These conservatives prophesied that endless trouble and confusion would come of giving women her proper place. She is the inferior of man in point of intellect, they declared. She is unpractical. She is impulsive. She is naturally born to a second place in the economy of life. In every house, one must rule, and that one must be the man. The principles which appear to work amicably in business partnership all over Mars would work ruin if applied to families. The notion of giving woman political power is absurd. She does not want it. It will render her masculine. She will be too noisy as a politician, too untrustworthy as a medical practitioner, too talkative as a lawyer, too inconsequential and illogical as a judge. But these vaporings were all to no purpose. They really convinced nobody, and experience proved them all to be erroneous and foolish. This is a great lesson, I think. We should read very, very often. I want to add something about war, which is called murder in the wholesale and despised as a relic of barbarous times. War abolition is, in fact, the first principle established in Mars. When the government members discuss what they can do without, they wonder, education? And they say, no. The civil service? No. Law and justice? No. The answer is not long in coming. Martians will reduce the expenditure in arms. They want to spend lots of money in education, lots of money in civil service, lots of money in law and justice, no money at all in the expenditure in arms. That is precisely why the last words of the book are these: they are perfectly civilized in Mars, where they means men and women, and civilized means peaceful and cooperative. Yes, I do think the other was a woman. Thank you so much for listening to me. And now it is Simonetta Badioli's turn. Thank you again.
Thank you, Alessandra, and hi, everybody. Published in 1892, MIRRIKH, or A Woman from Mars, was written by Francis Worcester Doughty, a prolific American screenwriter and novelist. The novel's subtitle is A Tale of Occult Adventure. In the 19th century, supernatural and science fiction, as long as space exploration and life on other planets, are subjects of great interest. The story follows the adventures of a group of explorers led by the narrator and the main protagonist George Wilde, as they uncover the mysteries surrounding Mars. During their journey, the travelers face various challenges and dangers, including encounters with Martian fauna and natural phenomena. But the pivotal encounter of the group is with a Martian woman named MIRRIKH. MIRRIKH is an enigmatic figure who possesses advanced knowledge and extraordinary abilities compared to humans. She represents a direct connection to the planet and its potential, and is an example of interspecies interaction. She is a repository of wonders for the terrestrials. She makes them open their eyes and minds on her incredible skills, such as levitation or the ability to see dead people. But the novel arises considerations on more concrete subjects. In chapter 7, the characters discuss about marriage, for some considered a sacred tie in the most advanced civilizations, by others defined as slavery for both genres, husband and wife. Slavery, interrupted Philpott, mere slavery. A wife tied down by pinafores and household cares is in much the same situation as an enterprising oyster, who can't get off its bed no matter how hard it tries. As for the husband, ask any poor devil who has been there if slavery is not preferable. Decide that marriage breeds deceit in any man who is a man. A bachelor may and does do as he pleases and don't give a rap who knows it. But a married man must perpetually dissemble if he would keep the peace. It is a known fact that our greatest minds have been those untrammeled by domestic cares. Slavery with also more responsibility for the wife, if possible, as stated later. But a woman must be the husband's slave to bring conjugal happiness. Like in Unveiling a Parallel, the utopian novel we presented in the 2021 convention, one of the travelers point out that in the beginning of time, I believe that men and women were actually one, being a complete object, a harmonious whole, and that woman is but a half of a perfect human creation. Men and women are considered as a couple whose blossoming depends on their different but mutual qualities: love, affection, wisdom, and knowledge. Only together in a happy marriage they can develop the best of themselves, as Maurice, another character, states. A married man who is uncongenially mated is simply one of the mistakes. An unmarried man is a half-developed creature, and invariably a selfish one, full of evil qualities which, had he entered the true conjugal relation, would, to a great or less extent, have been eradicated. We are not here to stand for marriage against a single state. We are just underlining the beliefs and attitudes of the male characters, the perspective of men, seen as providers and protectors, while women are expected to take on domestic and nurturing roles. They don't lack of a touch of romanticism anyway, since they consider love and companionship as important elements in marriage. The Martian wisdom offers us some hints to reflect on marriage as a partnership, women's independence, love and compatibility, women education, and gender roles. MIRRIKH, the Martian woman, has a more egalitarian and progressive view regarding relationships and gender roles. From her point of view, marriage is a partnership of equals. Each member is treated with mutual respect and gives their contribute to the family. Marriage should be a union of equals. Each partner must contribute equally to the relationship, and neither should dominate the other. Mutual respect and understanding are the foundations of a successful marriage. Besides that, the Martian culture holds freedom and independence a core for women's happiness. Only if they can pursue their own interests, careers, and goals, instead of being confined to traditional domestic roles, they may develop into all human beings. Women should not be confined to the domestic sphere. They deserve the same opportunities for education and professional advancement as men. True progress lies in allowing women to pursue their own interests and contribute to society on equal footing. People should be bound together by true feelings, a tie freely and sincerely chosen, not imposed by economic convenience or traditional injunctions. Marriage should be based on genuine affection and compatibility. It is not a mere contract of convenience or social expectations. True happiness in marriage comes from a deep emotional connection and mutual support. MIRRIKH, who stands for the independence and empowerment of women, also stresses the importance of their education. They should enjoy the same opportunities as men, such as access to higher education and to those professional fields at the time traditionally reserved for men. Education is the key to empowerment. Women should have access to the same educational resources as men, enabling them to make informed decisions and pursue their own paths in life. A more balanced society has abolished the traditional gender roles. The roles assigned to men and women by society are outdated and restrictive. In a truly progressive society, individuals should be free to choose their roles based on their abilities and interests, rather than adhering to arbitrary gender norms. The utopian novels that Alessandra and I have been presenting in these latest editions of the Mars Society Convention are different in their plot, characters, adventures, and settings, but all of them have in common the fundamental values that even in the 19th century, writers and scholars have sustained, being at the base of a harmonious development of people and society. As every year, we like to remind those values, dusting off old books. Perhaps These books have been forgotten by the larger audience, but they deserve, in our opinion, to be taken with us now in the future and maybe one day in our life on other planets. Thank you.